Are you going to sacrifice the cake for the abs or the abs for the cake?
Right.
One or the other.
Boss bitch. Boss bitch. All right, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio.
Hi.
Today we are going to talk about being shredded. Is it a fantasy
Or is it reality?
or is it a reality? So today we are going to go over why aspiring to look like a competitor is unrealistic. We're also going to talk about 5 key factors that come into play when you are preparing for a lofty goal, such as a competition.
Yeah.
And also, if we haven't already mentioned it and you haven't heard it, we do have a waitlist. We are opening up the team in a couple weeks. So if you are interested in joining our competition team, there is a link in the show notes. So make sure to visit that.
Ooh.
Today's juicy.
It is. I feel like it's going to be a little ranty. It's going to kind of like be squirrely like typical, but there's going to be so many good things happening through this.
You know, we have athletes competing right now.
Next weekend.
Yes.
Not this weekend, next weekend.
Right. We're in the thick of competition season, right?
It's very competition-y out there.
A lot of our clients are running around shredded right now, looking very, very lean. And we often hear our clients who are not competitors want that look, but they don't want to do the show.
Yeah.
I think we hear that
I want to look
often.
like a competitor, but I don't want to get on stage.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've said time and time again as to how that's not a realistic goal. And most of the time, unless you actually pay to play,
If
to
you
compete,
pay,
yeah,
you pay attention.
you generally will be very challenged to get that lean.
Yeah, because there's not going to be anybody or any reason for you to kind of hold to your goals of the fact of being like, oh, well, maybe I can have this instead of that and I'm still going to get shredded. And typically, no.
Yes.
Typically, that's a no.
Yes. So we wanted to talk about some things that are baseline things to consider. There are more. We're going to be doing a webinar here in a couple weeks, but we just want to like scratch the surface to have the conversation. So a lot of times genetics play a huge role.
Yeah.
Right? Like genetically in terms of your muscle shape, your muscle size, overall body composition, bone structure, lots of things come into play for women in bodybuilding as far as competition.
I am genetically a good bodybuilder.
Say more.
I just feel like I'm short. I was never lean as a child or even as an adult. I had to lose 150 pounds just to be a normal weight for my height. I don't think that I have the genetics for it. I think I trained and I built the genetics to be able to do that.
I think your body composition is wonderful for the wellness division, or your body genetics is great for the wellness division. But when we first met and you wanted to compete, wellness was not yet a thing.
It was not a thing.
So we were practicing for figure. We were practicing for bikini. We were just like, we don't know what to do with you. And I'm like, she's not a bikini girl.
I just wanted to train.
She's not a figure girl.
No.
So you just trained all the things, and it ended up that wellness came about, and it was a really great division for genetically for you. But when you are just trying to get lean, trying to get in shape, and you want to be shredded, a lot of times genetically, some people are just, they're either mesomorphs or endomorphs or ectomorphs, depending on their body composition.
Everybody's all Google.
Yes. And so if you are, I believe it's mesomorphs are the lean, they're just, it's like, I had lots of girls like this in high school where they could eat everything under the sun and just be little tiny, teeny little things.
They were like Taco Bell princesses and they were all skinny still.
Yes.
I was not skinny Taco Bell princess.
And so if you are working against your genetics, that can be a challenge. So it's not always the best goal for everybody. Can they do it? Yes. I've seen it time and time again. I've had clients that genetically are not suited to compete by standards, by bodybuilding standards, but we get them lean enough and, we recreate some shape in their muscles to give them a different appearance, and they pull it off.
Oh, yeah. I
Right.
mean, lots of people can get up there and compete and still look good, even if you're not genetically made for it. But that's another reason why you take an off season and grow where you need to grow.
Right. And two, the other thing as well with genetics, I don't necessarily feel it's genetics as far as what I'm going to talk about next, but I think that everybody has a different starting point metabolically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something like we can't see, right? Because it's not like I just say like, how's your metabolism, right? It's like a multitude of factors that make up metabolism. So with that, everybody's body is going to respond differently to training and the diet. So that's also something when you see somebody who's got shredded, or like our clients in the studio see one of our athletes that's getting ready to compete. And they also need to understand that metabolically, one client can eat a lot more and do a lot less cardio versus another client. So you can't just assume that everybody, if you've heard some really great things, also you need to hear all sides, right, of the competition scheme of getting shredded, because I have some clients that are on 800 calories for some short periods of times, like a week or two. Or, I have another client at 1,600 calories 2 weeks out. So it's, you have to know that going in. You're not going to probably have a cakewalk.
I feel like everybody's like, oh, I want abs. And I'm like, okay, what are you willing to do the things to get the abs? It's usually no. Because as much as you have to do to get these abs, you're sacrificing some other things. And I think that kind of goes into the next topic of time and commitment. How much time do you have to give on this, endeavor, ultimately a hobby? And how much are you willing to sacrifice to get there?
It's a lot of sacrifice.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. You have to spend a considerable amount of time. So let me take 2 steps back. If you want to be good, you have to take a considerable amount of time to refine many things with your bodybuilding career.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes posing.
Yes.
Taking care of your sleep hygiene, your training, your cardio.
The more you say, the more I keep smiling, because this is all in one day.
Yes.
This is all in one day. Don't forget your real job, your family. There is all of those other things that also go into play with that as well.
The food prep.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like some people are like, oh, you got to eat anyways. And I'm like, listen, when I'm not competing, I'm not eating 6 times a day. It's just not happening.
It's not.
You're lucky if you get 4. It's probably 3 and a snack or some kind of bar or something like that. But when you compete, that changes. Your time starts to dissipate very quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are thinking like, why can't I see my abs? Or I just want to get shredded. I need to see my abs. Like that's always been a thing. I feel like people forever and ever since I started training were like, I just want to see my abs. And I'm like, me too. It's not that easy.
No,
right?
It's not. And even when I can maybe see one ab, it's just an ab.
It's just an ab.
It's just an ab.
Abs are cool. Let me tell you, abs are really cool, but it's not as cool as you think, right? Like getting shredded and being on stage is so much fun. I wouldn't take it back for the world.
No.
I loved it. Would I do it again? Knowing what I know now and knowing the amount of sacrifice, I'm not in a space in my life where I'm interested in doing that anymore. And honestly, we're coaching women way differently than I was coached, right? And so I don't want to say I have PTSD because I know better, right? I'm like a coach, but we take it very seriously with our athletes in terms of their mindset through the process.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. If you don't have the mindset for that, like you're going to be fighting a battle in your prep for sure. You need to have the mindset, like you need to do the things, you need to check the boxes, you want to win, you want to just do this goal, whatever it might be, but you want to do it to your best ability. So you know that when you step up there, you let everything on the table. You did everything you could to get there. And with that, with me, like as soon as I step up there, I'm like, I did the best I could. No matter what happens today, I'm excited and happy about what I did.
Yeah. And the other thing to consider too is while we're on this topic of time and commitment, it's the time that you have to dedicate to this thing, right? Which if you're doing it for bodybuilding and that's your goal and you set out to do it, great. But the conversation here too is when we have lifestyle clients or what we call normies who aren't bodybuilders and they just want to get shredded or peeled or diced, whatever word we're using now. And we're trying to urge you that like you can find a happy medium that doesn't need to be shredded and still be very happy with your body and not have all these other things that are going to be so important for a competition, right?
Versus lifestyle.
Yeah. So this is why we say lifestyle clients or people who come to us with the goal of getting shredded without an actual competition prep, it doesn't happen, is because things like what was yesterday?
4th of July.
Right? If you're in prep, I texted all my girls that are in prep right now, like within a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. I sent them a voice memo in our WhatsApp and I said, I know it's the 4th today. You're going to be surrounded by treats, goodies, all the things. Remove yourself from those situations as best as you can. Mm-hmm. Make it about the company. Drink your water. Chew gum. Do what you need to. But remember, you didn't come this far to only come this far. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a lifestyle client and you just want a 6-pack and it's the 4th of July and Aunt Susie brings her famous upside down pineapple cake.
Oh, we're eating the cake.
And you're just like, about those abs. That cake be looking real good.
And that's the sacrifice. Are you going to sacrifice the cake for the abs or the abs for the cake?
Right.
One or the other.
And I'm not saying that lifestyle clients can't go in a phase of being serious and being super focused and turning down things, right? Totally. We had, for example, one of our dear clients who just turned 60. Mm-hmm. She hired me to go into a mini cut for her birthday.
She did great.
She's not competing. She has no desire to compete, but she knew she had a photo shoot. It was the first and only one she's ever done in her whole ass life. And I told her she needed to do it.
Yeah.
And she had a big 60th birthday party. And
huge.
She was invested in bringing the best 60-year-old version of herself.
Well, that was the thing. She had a big enough goal that was going to keep her to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, obviously when you hire a coach for accountability, then there's that too. It makes it way harder if you are doing this on your own. Mm-hmm. So every week she's checking in. I'm giving her milestones to reach, working through things like this as far as like she had events and stuff and she works and she's a businesswoman, giving her realistic tips for her situations so she could stay on track. And she hit her goal.
She did.
Right. But again, getting shredded versus photo shoot is also a whole nother different situation too.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like if she wanted to be shredded, which is not, in my opinion, is not the look to go for if you're doing like a boudoir shoot.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I like doing photo shoots when I'm a little more curvy. Right?
Got all that ass.
Got all that
ass back there.
So she wasn't trying to be, she just wanted to look fit and strong. And like, we crushed that for her.
She did great.
Amazing.
Yeah. So good.
We need to share those photos. She needs to share those photos. Okay. Next. Well, we already talked about this a little bit too, but individual differences. So we talked about metabolism and how that's also important, right? Not everybody is going to shred the same way. Also very important is the diet maybe you used 10 years ago to get shredded is probably not going to work the same now.
No.
And give you the same results. I mean, you've seen that
even the one I used again. 6 months ago is not going to work the same way it worked now.
Right. And like, let's not forget how each prep is different. So if you aren't even prepping and you're dieting, every diet it's not going to work the same as it did last time. It's just not. You're not the same person. So many things change that you have no control over.
Right.
Hormones, metabolism, everything.
Speaking of, get your hormones checked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can speak to this. How were all your diets in contest prep? They all varied.
Oh, they're all different.
Yeah. And you got shredded each time.
I sure did.
But there was never the same approach. That's why it's like when people are like, I don't need a coach. I'll just figure it out myself. I'm like,
I don't even know what my body's doing, let alone,
good luck
trying to pretend like I do know. That's the funny thing too, is it's like, we know what to do and we could do it, but you also need the accountability. You also need that outside look, because if you're looking at yourself, you never see anything change for at least 3 months. You know, you're going to be getting somebody being like, oh, what have you been doing? You look really good. I've actually been getting that a lot lately. And I'm like, I'm just trying to do the things with the amount of time that I have and sacrifice what I can. But I'm also not willing to sacrifice some other things at this point. So that's also why we're like, okay, let's take some more time off. We're going to compete next year, because I want to be able to be 100% into that competition. So it's the going on stage is not a half-ass thing. You can't just be like, oh, I want to do this thing. No, you need to have conversations with people in your life. You need to have conversations with yourself, probably your animals, your significant others,
everything that relies on you to live.
Your children.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to say no to. And that's nobody's fault but your own, because this is your goal.
Yes. And that's when the struggle for general population, lifestyle clients, normies to drop body fat, shredded is like, that's a whole nother level, right?
Yeah.
But like even dropping body fat, when you've been interacting with yourself for the same way, and these have been your habits and your family's habits, your friends are used to you always ordering, you know, shots for everybody and chips and guac or whatever, right? And then you start showing up differently. There's a little bit of an identity shift that has to happen.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's challenging.
Yeah.
And it's challenging going into a diet, and it's also, or a cut or a contest prep. And it's also challenging coming out of it, because we were talking about this on our walk before we like brainstorm all this stuff.
Yeah.
And my daughter was here too. So Ish DeBeast was here, and we were discussing how for us, we have been able to now, there's a light switch that happens, right?
Yeah.
Like when you are in prep mode, it's like go time, lights are on, and you just like, that's your target, and everything you do is aimed towards that. When we finish, light switch is off. Now, it does not mean we aren't doing the things that have made up our healthy lifestyle. Right. It means our mindset is now, I'm not trying to stay at this level of leanness. I'm not trying to, you know, get on stage again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or whatever. There's no reason why I should try to aspire to keep abs, right?
Right.
But there is a balanced space that has to be found. And that could take a minute for some people.
Yeah. I feel like what I hear a lot of the times, especially with girls that are competing, is that the reverse is always the hardest. It's because it's like you're on this teeter-totter, right? And you're like, do I have the treat or do I not have the treat? But if you go too far left and there's nobody on the other side to push it down, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, with competitors and whatnot, the best thing you can do is do your best through your reverse. Okay. Keep your coach for 100%, check in, and just do your best. You know, it's always going to be a slippery slope. And that's the reason that you have check-ins. That's the reason why you have a coach, so they can bring you back in, and you can even check in with yourself and be like, okay, what am I actually doing? All right, maybe I'm going a little ham on the froyo. Maybe I should bring it back. Okay. And then next week, you're just like, okay, instead of 5 days of froyo, I had 3.
And you just take it step by step like that. Sometimes it's very touch and go.
Yeah.
So the next thing you have to consider if you're trying to get shredded, okay, whether this is like you just want to be shredded to have abs or you want to get on stage, right, is the psychological impact, which we've been hinting at throughout the podcast, right, is the psychological impact that'll have on you as you're going through that process. Because if you're aspiring to look like a competitor but yet not compete, you're likely not doing all the things that are needed, right? Because of the things we mentioned earlier, there's a big undertaking with that to just say like, hey, I want to have abs without actually having a show on the schedule. And that can start, you might think like, I'm not good enough. All this like negative self-talk starts. When the reality of it is they only look like that for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, some continue to compete. IFBB pros do it religiously. We talked about that before as well, where they make it kind of their job, their career.
But they also do the things like forever and ever.
Yes.
And it's for most normal people or NPC athletes that are just regular population people, they're not willing to do that year round.
No.
I am not willing to do more than 5 days of cardio if I'm in an off season.
And your coach would suggest you don't.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But that's the thing. Even if like, I'm eating a lot of food, I'm never going to try and like catch up with my cardio either.
Yes.
It's just not, it's you're doing both things and it's just spinning your wheels.
It is spinning your wheels. And you have to know yourself mentally as well, because when you set out to do something like a show or compete, it kicks up some insecurities.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. So you need to be in a position where you have pretty thick skin. You aren't going to obsessively compare and spiral and things. And we all do it. Most of us. I'm speaking for myself and the people that have told me they do it. Some people are scared to tell me they do it, my athletes. But I've done this myself too. It's gotten way better over the years, right? Like I just block all that stuff out after a certain point.
I feel like even with competitors, like going back to what I said earlier, you're only going to be as good as you execute the program and the plan. And you can only do so much. And at that point, if you did your best, you did your best. If you don't get a placing that you want, then, either you're going to love it and it's going to light your fire and you're going to want to do it again and do better next time and get your feedback. Or you're going to be like, yeah, maybe it's just not for me.
Yeah. And I think too, being very self-aware and getting realistic with yourself. Mm-hmm. I know that I don't want to do my clients a disservice by giving them false hopes or all the things. And so having an extra set of eyes on you is very important if you are going to set a goal like competing and hiring a coach who knows where you should be in the journey. If you're not, what do we need to do? What needs to change? Do we need to pick another date? Things like that.
Yeah.
When you're, even when you're a normie and you're just setting a lifestyle goal, you want to have abs, you want to get shredded, whatever.
Let's do it. Ready.
You need that set of eyes on the outside that's telling you, okay, well, we're way off or, whatever. I have a girl right now who's in the prep for the prep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
are you talking about me? No.
We're trying to lose 20 pounds by October.
Yeah.
So she can be at a better starting set point. So she can then have the fall to like maintenance and work her calories back up.
Right.
And then next year compete right?
In the summer.
But it's hard, right? Because she knows the show's not till next year and it's a very slow progress. So you have to mentally be ready to be in the game for that.
Yeah. I feel like that too, especially when you are in a recomposition phase. That's probably one of the other harder parts of prep is when you're trying to recomp, you're not really trying to like lose a lot of weight. You don't want to do it by way of a lot of cardio because you're going to need that later. So watching the scale not really change, but you're doing all the things is probably one of the more difficult things because we're always searching for that scale weight to give us a little pat on the back and be like, yeah, bitch, you're doing what you're supposed to do. But when we're not looking for that, like I have a lot of girls where I'm like, your weight is great. We just need to change your composition a little bit. And then we'll go into a bigger of a cut when we're ready. We're not quite there yet. So it's just like, I'm just like, keep checking your boxes, chipping away. Your scale weight's not changing, but we're looking at pictures now. Yes. So this is what we're looking for.
Yes. And that's actually a really good point to like the mental health piece of it. Mm-hmm. I was having a one-sided dialogue with a client's check-in.
Right.
And she's probably listening or watching this. She's coming out of the last show and struggles coming out. The lines are disappearing, not looking as lean.
Right.
And I told her right now, her job is to help me educate other women by sharing her journey post-show so people can see her in all the stages, which I think is very valuable for yourself to also ease into that and not feel ashamed when you see people and get people conditioned to knowing. And that's really like my bigger mission with this whole podcast and everything is while, yes, I am a bodybuilding coach. And while, yes, I feel like I'm a pretty damn good one and I can compete myself and get on stage if I wanted to and all that. It's how is your mental health through the beginning to the end and beyond? Because stage is a very small blip in the radar. If we're just showcasing on social media all the time, only when we're shredded and lean and have a six pack, and then we go radio silent after our show, we're teaching people that we're only valuable when we're lean and we're only worthy of praise and social media likes when we're lean. When the in-season is just as important as the off-season, and the off-season is our time as content creators, as people who share our journeys with our bodies, to show that bodybuilding is not, it's a sport just like the NFL or anything these guys are doing. Extreme shit to be in.
Yeah.
We're no different.
Yeah.
We're actually probably a little bit more fucking crazy.
I agree.
So
I agree.
It's important for people to see us coming out of that.
We don't even get paid to do this.
It's a hobby.
We pay to do it. We pay to do it.
It's an expensive ass hobby. But
it is.
For those of you that are listening and compete and maybe are like, I'm guilty of that, I encourage you.
Post your off-season body. I don't know if you guys be on our Instagrams, but we be posting and we still be wearing all the things. We don't need to be shredded to wear things and feel sexy. You know, whether you're kind of a person that likes to be a little scantily clad or not, you know, wear the shorts, wear the tank top. You know, just because we go a little bit farther and we're like, wear the pasties doesn't mean you have to follow suit, but
wear the pasties.
Wear the pasties. Yeah. We just want you to feel good in your body at any shape. It doesn't necessarily have to be shredded. Abs are not all what they're made up of. Okay. But for a reason, for getting on stage, for being a bodybuilder, competitor, there's a completely different kind of mindset that you have to get there.
There is. And one thing I learned early on was if I wanted to like achieve something, whether it was in bodybuilding or business or whatever, I needed to act as if. Yeah. And I truly believe that coming out of a show and learning to love yourself, and I know that's like an entirely different podcast topic.
It sure is
that you have to keep not convincing, but you need to keep speaking to yourself in a manner of like, I look good. This is a good selfie. I look, you know, and sharing that kind of stuff. If you are already the type of person to share only your shredded stuff, and let the chips fall where they may. You're being a little vulnerable. Maybe you're a little bit heavier post show. Normalize that.
Yeah.
Be proud about it. Celebrate that, right? Like we have to teach people that we're not only valuable when we're shredded.
I agree.
You know,
I wouldn't be very valuable.
No, we are so worthless.
I would not be very valuable.
And I don't mean that like we're worthless,
just
but
in
like
the shredded version.
When we're shredded, we are like we are no good to people.
Yeah,
like we're good to people. I think we're better to our clients because we're like like you need to do. Like I'm much more direct when I'm in prep. You like to say I'm being a dick.
You are a dick.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard her put her coach's hat on?
I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done it a couple of times, but it's nothing like how you do it.
It's not how I'm very direct. Yeah. So point being, I don't remember. What were we talking about?
We were talking about body positivity. And
yes. Yeah. So it's important for us as content creators, those that are putting out our selfies and celebrating ourselves when we're like shredded, to make sure that people are seeing all sides of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as shredded as I've ever been, and I be wearing a bikini.
And
like nobody's business.
I believe that's what you should do. Bikini goes on a body, and we just do that.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody does.
Okay. So the other unrealistic piece of this is long-term sustainability of maintaining a lifestyle for being shredded or being on stage or having a six-pack, right? Now, mind you, there's going to be some outliers that have six-packs that just always have six-packs. We're talking to the rest of us.
Yeah, we're talking to
not unicorns.
People that don't have abs all the time.
The measures in which girls are using to get to stage is not something you should be doing long-term. So doing hours of cardio.
Not eating carbs.
Yeah, severely restricting.
Yeah.
You know, isolating because they don't want to be in social situations because there's food.
Been there.
Right? Things like that. These are things that you have to do at some point, or a lot of people do. You don't have to, but it happens.
I don't know. I've been in all the different spots with that. Like sometimes I can still hang out with people. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't have it. But, more or less, I always have to go back to the fact that, I chose to compete. This was my choice. I cannot take that out on other people. But it's difficult. I'll tell you, it wasn't always a point where I was good at that. I've been smacked on the head a little bit and been told, you gotta need to tone her down.
Oh, with your attitude?
Well, and all the things.
I had to have a God Jesus talk with you.
I feel like I need to have one with you sometimes too.
You do. It's fine. I'm not. Yeah, not perfect. But somebody says, I wish more people. Oh, that's Jen. Hi, Jen. Jen's 10 days out.
Yeah.
I wish more people understood that this isn't an everyday thing. I'm nervous how people will respond when I go back to normal. Yeah. And this is, like I was saying earlier, the conversation that I had with a client in a check-in who's just now post-show, and telling, it's our job to educate people because they don't understand. They don't get it. They just like, oh, I thought you just did this thing all the time and then you stay like that. I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
Well, there's another thing too, is like when you get shredded, people are thinking you're getting big.
Yes.
They
and you're
think
so
you have
not.
like giant muscles, right? And it's like, no, bitch, these are the tiny ass muscles I had the whole time, but now you could just see them.
Because my fat's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm going to eat normal so I can get some more fat back on. Now, do we tell you that you should gain 30, 40 pounds out of prep? No, because it's just not comfortable, for one. Let's talk about that. It is not comfortable. It's not healthy to gain weight that quick. Does it happen? Absolutely. But we try to get away from that so we can find that balance with that. So, having abs is great and all, but it's not something that's probably going to happen year round for you.
And you should not want to. I mean, it's great and fine, but it's just the level of like,
I feel
dedication is really high for that. Really.
I feel like with all these girls competing, I'm having like a teeny bit of FOMO, but like not really, but kind of.
Yeah, I'm there too. I get that way every prep season. I'm like, oh God, I think I can do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I think I can do it. And then I'm like, maybe not. But in reality, what I have to do this year is I just had to be really honest with myself. If I had it in me, if I wanted to put my business under that kind of stress, if I wanted to put my family under that kind of stress, it's whenever I compete, it's a conversation that I have with my husband right away before it's even brought up to anybody else. Well, I guess besides you, but that doesn't count.
Oh no, because I'm part of the master plan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's definitely conversation that you need to have with your partners. If you are going to embark in that endeavor, it should not be something you just do and then tell them later.
I feel like, to what Anna says is that, everybody's afraid to gain weight after their show. Don't be afraid. Okay. It's going to come on as it comes on. You're going to do your best to kind of like make it slow and steady. We have some girls that are doing fantastic and they're still very close to stage weight. We have some other girls that have also put on a little bit of weight, but they feel better. They're lifting heavier. They look better. Some of them are like, my prep face is going away. I don't know if you guys have seen some competitors, especially me too, like these lines on your face around your smile lines, they come deep.
Yeah.
Like I will tell you, after like the night of the show, I don't really love taking selfies.
Oh, I hate it.
Like you got to take a full body photo for that to happen. You
or
can't
from
be
the
like,
neck down.
Yeah.
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 It's just all the fat is gone in your face.
It is just like,
it's not good.
It
melts.
Cute,
it melts. Yeah. And you have to remember at the end of the day, if you are competing, it's 30 seconds on stage. And there's a lot of sacrifice that goes on prior to that. Months. Some of our girls have been dieting since December. Okay. December. And so you put all this time and dedication into that for that one day. And it would be great in theory to think that you can step off stage and maintain that. And I'm going to walk around in this body. But it's not realistic. It's not healthy. We want to get your period back. We want to get your metabolism, back to a healthy set point, eating more food, strong. So to what Amanda was saying is anchoring to the things that are positive post-show are super important, even if you're struggling with the transition back into your normal body.
Yeah.
right? Not necessarily like, your off-season body, your normal body, right? The bodybuilding stage body, that's not normal. That's an extreme look. That's for the sport. Coming back into normie land.
Yeah.
Is going to feel like you're in a bumper car a little bit, right? You're just kind of like, fell into some Oreos. Oh, okay, good. I did good for 3 days. And then, and it happens. It's not everybody. Some people are more disciplined, but doesn't mean they're not struggling.
Right.
It is a challenge. And while you're doing that, embrace the things that you feel are better. You have to. Right?
Yeah. They're like, so this goes to show in prep, right? When you are getting leaner, your weights are going to go down. Like not your weight on your body, but the weight on the barbell.
Yes.
Right. And there's a point when you're like, why am I even tracking this anymore? Because I'm not as strong as I was. I don't need to know what my PR is. I just need to remember what I did last time.
Yes.
So then it's like, okay, I'm just going to remember what I did last time and I'm going to do that. So that going into show, those weights are going to start going down. When you start coming out of show and you start eating, that is when you should definitely start tracking and watch that weight on the bar start to go up. And that just means you're getting stronger. Then you don't have to like focus on the fact that like maybe you put on 5 pounds or 10 pounds after show. Well, yeah, but now your squat is 70 more pounds than it was 3 weeks ago.
You know what's funny?
What?
The things that the competitors complain about, and I'm guilty of this too, prior to competing.
Yeah.
And then the things they complain about after. So prior to competing, it's my lifts really suck.
Yeah.
I'm getting weaker. I'm freaking out because my hip thrust went down. They're worried. All their strength is going down. I'm like, yep, that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
yep,
you have
can't
food.
expect to be
You're
pushing
doing
all that.
more.
You're doing 2 hours of cardio. You're on 1,100 calories. Like you're 15,000 steps. Like, yeah, you should not be hip thrusting 305 right now. Okay, no. Some freak anomalies can, but most cannot.
Right.
So they're complaining about that, and then post show, they're like celebrating, like, oh, all my weights have gone up, like everything's great, but now I'm fat.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm like, you can't have the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
okay?
it totally is.
You can find a happy medium. I shouldn't say you can't find the best of both worlds, but you can find a happy medium.
It's a struggle to find a balance.
Where you settle into a body that you are like, okay, I feel good. I feel healthy. I feel strong. I don't breathe heavy when I tie over my shoes, or, because that was
there was a point.
That was my indicator where I was like, okay, girl, 170 is not your weight. I'm not saying it's not your look, because you be rocking that, sister.
Yeah.
But 170 is not your weight for health purposes, because if I'm struggling to, when I see something on the floor and my dog won't eat it and I know I have to pick it up, I'm like, motherfucker. He's not going to eat that tomato. I got to pick that up. I was struggling. Yeah,
no. And that's a thing too. That's more or less of like making sure that your health is good, no matter which way you're going on the scale. If you're coming out of prep and you're super shredded, we just want to make sure that we get you back to a good balanced spot where the set point is good. Your health is good. Like you said, your period is coming back. You're getting more sleep. You're not doing 2 hours of cardio. You can maybe lift 4 days a week instead of 6.
You get your sex drive back.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
That goes away from some people too. But one of our Instagram girls here, well, actually D, she was saying she doesn't know what to do with her hands
when her schedule is not so intense.
Right, because when we're in prep, every minute has allotment. It already does, but like in prep, I don't know how we figure it out, but we make it happen. We probably spend less time on social media, or I don't know.
I don't know, man.
We just don't shower. We don't shower as much. That's
you're probably right.
What it is. But like everything is so scheduled, and when it's not there, you're like,
So now that you don't have anything to schedule,
I can eat a snack.
Don't eat snacks. You probably already ate your snacks, okay?
I did.
Find another hobby, or guess what? Fucking relax, bitch.
Oh, God.
Sit your ass down.
I was not expecting that, but I actually am really glad that you said that.
It's true. We are so busy all of the time. There's never a time where it's just like, just sit and breathe. Like, just sit. Don't even look at your phone. I dare you. Try it.
That's weird.
I know.
Yeah.
I try and go and sit in the backyard for like 3 minutes with no phone, no nothing. At
3
least.
minutes? That's so long I would die. No,
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's just what what I can commit to. Okay,
yeah, no.
That is what I can commit to. That is the amount of time where I can like step away from whatever I'm doing, breathe for a minute. I've got like a beautiful backyard. There's like hummingbirds and shit, and they're all coming in. They're all looking cool, and I'm like, right, great. And then I feel like I can take a deep breath, and then I got to go back to that like
right
killer mode.
And I mean, we're being facetious here,
kind of, but not really though.
Let's think about the reality of other things you could be doing that you ignored while you were in prep.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Were there projects around the house that you put on the back burner?
Crocheting.
Were you crocheting before? Was there family that you knew you couldn't really be around too frequently because food choices were very different? Or maybe they kind of, you know, we love family, but we don't get to pick them. And sometimes they have to voice their opinions about your prep lifestyle and things like that. And so I would just disappear because I didn't want to hear my dad ask me, "You're eating chicken and broccoli again?" I'm like, "Yes, Dad."
Every day.
So you start getting back to those, you know, cultivating those relationships. You likely weren't able to go on date nights if you have a partner.
Yeah.
Start bringing those back in. Start to like relax and ease back into your normal life because it's a season.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding was your season, super focused. Staying focused on your training plan and your goal forward with your body goals is super, super important post-show.
Mm-hmm.
And also cultivating your normal life back into play and being able to have space for that and just breathing.
Yeah.
Because every minute of prep is accounted for when you are getting ready to compete.
It sure is.
If you aren't doing one of the million things on the list you need to, then you're posing. And that is also on the list.
Or you're stretching, or you need to go see a chiropractor, or you got to go get a massage, or you got to go to the grocery store.
Yeah. Or you got to get waxed, or you got to get your hair colored. Like there's always upkeep to the vehicle. There always is. It's a lot.
It is
but
a lot.
We love it.
We do. I'm excited for when it's my turn. Not now, but when I'm ready. As of next year, when we hop on stage, we'll see what happens. And being able to have like a real long off season and being able to enjoy my life, I think next prep's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we did good. And we've been lifting consistently, heavily. All of our lifts are going up. Like training's really good. And it's great. It's great to be mentally in a different phase with really improving the lifestyle of our athletes, really.
Yeah, I love just going into the gym and just loving training right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, as like an off-season athlete, you know, just going in and just lifting because I like to lift. Because that's where it all started for me. You know, I started lifting and I was like, I really like this. I want to continue doing this. Oh, now I want to teach people how to do it because I really like it and I want them to feel the same way. And then it just organically grew into competing, which wasn't even really anybody's fault. It just, I was lifting and
you were hanging out with me.
doing the diet and it was like, well, we're already here. We might as well keep going.
I probably convinced you.
I think that's actually a really good thing to say as well. Like if you're already lifting and doing cardio and eating the way that you think you should, maybe you are ready for a competition. If you're not, then I think you're ready to be a lifestyle client. Start taking some time to start learning about nutrition. If you're a cardio bunny and you don't go for the weights, I want you to flip that. Go for the weights. Don't do the cardio, you know, and then you can kind of grow that from there. I feel like there are maybe some people that can go like couch to bodybuilding.
Very rare.
Very rare, I would assume.
Rare.
But it's like if you already have some of these habits in with what you do daily anyways, it's not going to be such as a shocker when you do get your coach to compete.
Yes. And this is the bulk of what I talk about when I do physique assessments. So
if you guys haven't got a physique assessment and you want one.
Yes. So physique assessments are essentially the first step in even applying for the team and getting on the wait list.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of them lately because we're launching the team here in a couple weeks. And as they're trickling in, those that I feel like are a good fit, I will recommend them early on. And so they're essentially ahead of the pack with getting on the team. I'm not sure how much room we're going to have in 2 weeks. However, that is a lot of what I'm discussing is I'm looking over their data as they submit their physique assessments because it's telling me a lot about a person based off of their photos, asks a lot of questions about their current lifestyle, the type of training they're in. And, I did 3 today. And one gal was nowhere near ready to be put into let's go into a contest prep. Right. And so that wasn't even offered up as a consideration because I'm not going to just sell her into a competition coaching program and be like, all right, sink or swim, bitch. No, based off of what you're telling me, the amount of time that you want to put in the gym and things like that, we need to just start 5 steps back. She's never even had a real structured training program, things like that. So this is why it's important to have somebody who's going to tell you the truth and be like, that's not for you. Or, let's do this. You're already doing 90% of the things. This is just going to be the next level and set the tone for what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Now, if you like this podcast, we will be doing a webinar. And this is really for girls who are just maybe looking outside the fishbowl, who are like, what does it really what does it entail? I know we've talked a lot about lots of different things when it comes to competing, but we're putting it all together in a webinar. And it's basically the beginner's guide to what you need to be ready for if you want to compete. It has a fancy schmancy name. We're going to be talking about understanding contest prep, what it is, as far as the process, setting goals with it, nutrition for dieting, dieting and nutrition for contest prep, essentially what that looks like, what you can be looking forward to in terms of meal timing and pre-contest nutrition. We'll talk a little bit about what peak week is. Then we're going to dive into the training component.
My favorite part.
Yeah. What is it? What kind of training do you need to do to compete? Right? Generally speaking, different muscle groups, progressive overload. We'll talk about cardio. We're also going to go into a segment about posing, stage presence, and presentation because that's super important. So we'll cover that. Then we'll talk about contest prep timelines and what that generally looks like. It's very different for everybody, but we give you just an overview of that, creating the timeline for that. And then a lot of what we talked about today, which is the mental and emotional piece of that and the preparation for that. We'll go into supplements, contest day stuff, post-show, cost considerations, and then lots of Q&A. So it's going to be a jam-packed webinar, but I think it's really great for anybody who is curious about what it takes to either 1, how do these girls look like that? Or 2, I've always wanted to do that thing, but I need more info, right? All housed in one giant smorgasbord of details.
I love that. That's great.
To set people up pretty early on with what they need to know.
What you think?
Yeah. So we have that. It is July
15th?
No. I think it's the 8th. It's a Wednesday evening.
Yes.
In July. And Amanda's going to tell us her calendar. The 19th of July at 5:30 p.m. PST. Me, Ish, and Amanda will be hosting this webinar. The link is going to be in my show notes as well as my bio on the gram. So you can sign up for that. It'll be interactive. We'll all be there. We're going to go over some fun slides. We're
going to be on the Zoomies.
We're going to be on the Zoomies.
Oh, I love that. It's going to be back in 2020.
It is. It will be fun. So I'm excited for that. So make sure to find that link in the show notes. Join us for that. Or if you're on the gram, make sure to find it in my bio.
Bye.
Bye. Wait. Before you go, boss bitches, real quick. I know we've just reached the end of another awesome episode of Boss Bitch Radio, and I'm hoping that you're having a blast listening to us and learning with us. But guess what? The fun does not have to stop there. If you are hungry for more things boss bitchery, fitness goodness, all the mindset stuff, all of the things that keep you motivated, you need to sign up for my newsletter. I know, I can't believe we've gone over 150 episodes and I have not mentioned once for y'all to be signing up for my newsletter because I've had a newsletter for 16 years. Every week I send out some content. Usually it's a wrap up of some of the podcast episodes with some snippets in there that's bite-sized that you can carry with you in your little pocket. But you wouldn't know unless you joined. all the cool bitches be on my newsletter list, and then you can just reply and we can chat. Those all go back to me, like it is me. I do write the things. So I would love to continue to motivate you outside of this podcast. I would love to pop into your inbox occasionally. No worries. I'm not going to spam you. I don't eat spam. I'm not going to send spam. But there will be some LOLs and some content that you won't want to miss. So join our Boss Bitch tribe. I'm going to link up the newsletter list sign up form in the show notes, which if you haven't taken a peek at the show notes, you should probably do that. There's some good ass links in there. There's some discounts, fun shit. Go find the email newsletter link, put your name on there, and every week I'll be whispering sweet nothings to you in your inbox. And it's a great way for us to stay connected outside of the podcast. All right, I'll see you in your inbox soon.